Hello, everyone. I'm going to keep my video off for now since my Wi-Fi is still kind of getting warmed up this morning. But I will start our poll. And can everyone see it on their screen? Just give me a thumbs up.
Yes, we've got it, Devin.
All righty. So our first, this introduction poll is just to get a feel of who's in the room, how many of you have attended CSW before, or if this is your first time, where you're working, what kind of processes you're working on. So definitely keep filling in your responses. And I'll just wait another minute to get all of those responses in, since we also still have some people coming into the call. A reminder to please keep yourself muted. We already have over 250 people on the call, so please do keep yourself muted so that we have a nice seamless program today and that we're not interrupting the speakers. All right, looks like the poll is slowing down. We have pretty much everyone's responses. And so I will end that and share the results. Can everyone see the results? Great. Yes. So for the first question, where are you working? We have a pretty even amount of responses. With most people joining, working on global, national, local, and other processes, and 13% working on regional processes. And then 76% of us are new to the CSW. That's super exciting. Welcome, everyone. I hope that you have the best first CSW. And with that, I will give it back to Safira or Pamela and Rosa.
You can hand it back to me, Devin. Thank you. I'm actually going to introduce Pamela and Rosa. So we're going to hear from our co-chairs to the NGO CSW Forum for this year, Pamela and Rosa. And they're going to give us a welcome to this orientation. So over to you, Pam and Rosa.
Thank you. Thank you, Safira and Devin, and greetings to all of our attendees. I am so glad to see so many people here for one of my favorite sessions of the NGO CSW Forum. The orientation session is a great way to remind us of ways to unlock the power of CSW for each of us personally. And I'll turn it over to my co-chair, Rosa Lazard, for her greetings.
Thank you so much, Pamela. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, buenos dias, buenas tardes, buenas noches, where you may be connecting from. We have made it to the start of the CSW, our 8 a.m. What excitement to be here at day one of the official and the start of the NGO CSW Forum. We are happy to have you here at this orientation training. I am actually thrilled to see that so many are joining for the first time. So you're in the right place and feel confident that the team that is just doing a fabulous job will answer each and every one of your questions in the chat. And I see also on the WOVA platform, which you'll hear about. So we have so many opportunities in the NGO CSW Forum for you to engage. You may have heard this, but I'm so happy to keep saying it. We have over 400 virtual parallel events. We have over 350 in-person events. Many of those are also hybrid. We have conversation circles taking a deep dive approach to issues ranging but not limited to multiple and intersecting forms of oppression, to violence against women and girls, to the future of education, sexual and reproductive health and rights, also about the climate chaos, economic justice, and LGBTQI plus rights, and a separate one for girls organized by the Working Group on Girls. Throughout the forum, we will be reminded, and we will review today, about the safety guidelines, which emphasize having an open and safe forum free of harassment, bullying, or intimidation. It is what we're striving for, so you all can do your part. Should an issue come up, there will be people on every floor of our venues, and you can report to them. There'll be volunteers, and you can also, of course, report anything at info@ngocsw.org. So to close, I want to thank our co-chairs for the orientation training committee, Safira and Jillian, and also thank Devin, our behind the scenes tech wizard, and our interns, Michaela, Ali, and Carla, for their industrious work. I hand over to Safira and Jillian. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Rosa and Pam, for that warm welcome. So now I'd like to introduce the chair of NGO CSW, Huri Gudalekian, to say a few words. Over to you, Huri.
Thank you, Safira. Honestly, I'm so grateful that you all included me so I can say a few words specifically for all those newcomers. I was in your shoes about 10, 12 years ago with butterflies in my heart, thinking, where am I? What am I doing here? And how do I figure out all of these things that are going on? Take a deep breath, be gentle and kind to yourself and to the people around you. Take one step at a time. Honestly, it is an incredible opportunity for the global feminists and women advocates to come together and to really zero in on what it is that we can do to make our wishes come true, to make our lives better in this world. So enjoy yourselves. 10-11 days ahead of us that are going to be full of events. And I also want to emphasize, I know many people want to be here in New York City in person, but I assure you, your input is just as important virtually as well. I am so grateful for the platform that we found that is so easy to use. We have over 10,000 people on it already. So just log on to it, you know, talk to anybody you want, attend events, reach out. I'm getting messages and answering as many messages as I can. So enjoy yourself, empower yourself, and bring this information back to the grassroots or the city or wherever you're coming from, and help implement everything that we're doing at the global level. Thank you, Safira, and everyone.
Thank you so much, Huri. So now we have a very special guest who's joining us, and something that civil society really values is this relationship that we share with our member states. So we have a representative from the Permanent Mission of Argentina with us today, and I'd like to extend a warm welcome to Ambassador Pilar Eugenio. So over to you. Pilar, thank you. I think you're on mute. We can't hear you.
Yes,
Perfect.
at the moment it's perfect. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
again. Good morning, everyone. It is a pleasure to be with you in the virtual meeting. Today is special because the CSW session starts, and it is also a special week because we commemorate the International Day of Women, which invite us to reflect on the pending challenges to achieve gender equality. This year, the session will address the following priority theme: innovation and technological change and education in the digital age to achieve gender equality and empowerment of all women and girls. As you can see, it is a very important topic since the information and communication technologies offer a large number of benefits, as we are able to experience in the COVID-19 pandemic, but it is also a space where gender inequalities are amplified. Argentina is part of the Bureau of the Commission on the Status of the Women on behalf of the GRULAC countries. It is the second year that Argentina holds the vice presidency. And in this session, we have the great responsibility of facilitating the agreed conclusions. We are aware that this commission is a space where civil society has a very important role. We celebrate your presence in this session and your active support to make progress in our countries. Indeed, thanks to the struggle of members of civil society and feminist movement in Argentina, we have made substantial progress in our policy and recognition of rights in our legislation, such as the law on access to voluntary interruption of the pregnancy, together with the law of 1,000 days enacted in 2020 and the law in equal marriage enacted in 2010. Okay, is proud really for this law in my countries. It's necessary. This law is a pathway and possible to have a consideration for the other countries. As you know, the text for the facilitation, I return to the facilitation, our role. As you know, the text is being negotiated. It is important to be cautious and reserved on certain issues. On January 30, the zero draft was circulated, which includes the new language of the Secretary General report on the priority issue. And at the same time, it includes agreed language from the last session, 66, and previous one. The pragmatic strategy was presented to focus on new language linked to the priority issues instead of using time and discussion on issues where the compromise language is already known. As Argentina, we have the objective to reaching a strong agreed conclusion that include the priority and voices of all the delegations. On February 22, 23, and 24, the first reading of the 78-page working document took place. It should be noted that the majority of the delegation supported the approach of working on the open paragraph. During the 3 days, the document was considered by clusters, and we took note of the different positions on issues, such as, for example, access to technology for women and girls. And the question is, why is the issue so important? Existing inequalities in the physical world are replicated in the digital world. Unfortunately, women and girls living in poverty face more challenges to access technologies. If they do not have access to a mobile or a computer, they will not access digital literacy and education to use them. And this greatly impacts their work opportunities. The other issue important, violence facilitated by technology, especially violence in the digital context. This topic is one of the most relevant. Why? Gender-based violence through technologies comprises a spectrum of behaviors, including stalking, bullying, sexual harassment, defamation, and hate speech. The post on social media of an intimate video without consent can have severe impacts on survivors, such as emotional distress and suicide. That is why it is crucial to address this topic in order to create safer online space for women and girls. Taking into account the comment of the room, mainly to shorten and streamline the number of pages of the text. We worked hard on a review 1 document that now has 38 pages. The second reading on the review 1 will be this Thursday, March 9 in the afternoon, and March 10 full day. We will continue negotiating on the review 2 the second week. You can always bring your comment, concern about the document to me and my team. You know, we are working with Pilar Eugenio. Pilar is working a lot in this subject, and work too with Maria Florencia Gonzalez. And really, the team is not big, but it's strong. I thank you, Gillian, for the invitation, and I hope that in this CSW session, we will have fruitful discussion and agree on concrete action, bearing in mind the most urgent needs of women and girls. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Ambassador Squeff, thank you so much. We couldn't have asked for a better champion than you. Your energy and your commitment is so clear for the fact that from the first reading of 78 plus pages to come down to a second reading almost by half, that in fact is testimony of your patience and your negotiation and diplomacy skills. So we're really happy that we have you championing our cause. I would like to say one of the points that you touched upon about videos being put up, and I can without consent, and I can say that there are some of us in the room, including myself, who has been victim of having photos put up without our consent. So the fact that you bring this up is really close and touching to us. So I want to thank you especially for that. You mentioned Pilar, and I know she would not like me saying this, but she has been invaluable, and I would like to thank her, Ambassador Squeff, on behalf of all of us. But you are an inspiration, and you have strength, you strengthen our value and validate the leadership of women and girls in all our diversity, in all spheres. Your commitment and energy to take action right now for us in our daily activities is the perfect energizer we need as we start this orientation session of CSW67. I want to thank you for your time, sharing your time this morning, your experience. We all know how busy you are, and so that you even give us this time is precious to us. So on behalf of everyone on this call and the executive team, thank you.
Thank you very much. And all the time you remember the state learn of the civil society. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador, so much. Thank you, Ambassador Squeff, so much. Appreciate it. And with that, I'd like to turn back to Safira, my co-chair, who this is in year 2 that the two of us are doing this together. So Safira, my partner in crime, let's do this.
All right, so we're going to move into an overview of the Commission on the Status of Women. So if we can get the slides back. So in terms of an overview, what is the Commission on the Status of Women? What is the CSW? So the CSW is the kind of principal global intergovernmental body that is exclusively dedicated to the promotion of gender equality and the empowerment of women. And it's instrumental in promoting women's rights. It's really documenting the reality of women's lives throughout the world. It's shaping global standards on gender equality and the empowerment of women. And so over the next 2 weeks, representatives of member states, of UN entities, of ECOSOC accredited NGOs from all regions of the world are invited to contribute to the session. And we'll be looking at particular themes. So if we can move to the next slide, the priority theme for CSW67 is innovation and technological change in education in the digital age for achieving gender equality and the empowerment of all women and girls. So you'll see many, many events around this theme, as well as many other themes, but this one is the priority. And this is what the outcome document is going to be about, really kind of addressing this as a priority theme. There'll also be a review theme. So if we can head to the next slide, the review theme is challenges and opportunities in achieving gender equality and the empowerment of rural women and girls. So again, we're kind of looking at progress that has been made since the CSW looked at this theme of rural women and girls as a priority. So how much are we advancing on what is needed, particularly for rural women and girls? If we can move to the next slide. So this is a comparison, and we wanted to kind of lay this out because there can be a little bit of a confusion around what is the UN Commission on the Status of Women and what is the NGO Committee on the Status of Women's Forum, which runs in parallel to the CSW. So I'm going to explain a little bit about the UN CSW, and then I'll pass to Gillian to give a little bit more detail on the NGO CSW Forum. So UN CSW is the official UN Commission, and that's held at UN headquarters. It's coordinated by UN Women. When you hear side events, this is part of the UN Commission. So side events are organized by UN agencies, member states, as well as civil societies, but mostly they are government-led and government-sponsored events. The UN CSW is where the outcome document is negotiated by member states, and only ECOSOC accredited organizations can officially register for the UN CSW. Over to you, Gillian, for the next piece.
Thanks, Safira. So since we see almost 76% of folk are new on this call, I think this slide is really important. So thanks, Safira, for the UN bit. Let's talk about the NGO forum bit. So this is the part that civil society gathers parallel to UN CSW and outside of the UN headquarters building. That's the physical space. It's organized by NGO CSW New York. We are a civil society organization, we're a coalition, and the executive is made up of volunteer membership. This year, for the first time, we're doing a hybrid forum. So we will host virtual and in-person parallel events. So this is a distinction that Safira and I like to bring up often, just so that you're clear in the terminology. A side event is what Safira talked about, which is an official event hosted by UN agencies, member states. What we are hosting is parallel. An important part of what we do is many months prior, we consult with our global membership and we prepare recommendations to the Bureau and member states on the priority theme. This year, we have 5 recommendations. And since so many people have contributed, it's only fair that we open this up for sign-on in support. So this sign-on is open to all of you on this call. You do not have to be from an ECOSOC organization. As an individual, if you support this, please feel free to sign. My colleagues will put the link in the chat box. So go ahead, read it, add your name if it resonates with you. Most importantly, access to the forum, both virtual and in person, is free of cost. NGO CSW does not charge for you to access these events. And with that, I think we'll move to the next slide, which is a little bit more from me. Since we talked about stuff in brief on what NGO CSW does, I think it's, Safira and I thought it was fair that we go into more detail on each of the events and what it is that happens. So our parallel events this year in a hybrid format, there are some online and some in person. The in-person ones are being held, if you are in New York, they're being held at the Church Center and the Salvation Army. The online ones are through our website. You are free to register, join as many events as you want. Rosa earlier spoke that there are more than 750 events that we're hosting over the period of CSW. Next one, please. We also have conversation circles. So what is a conversation circle? It's a place to exchange ideas about topics on women's rights, gender equality, all as linked to the current priority theme and the review theme. We have multiple conversation circles happening over the 2 weeks. If my colleagues at the back can put up oh, here we go. This is the schedule. We have 5 of them virtual on Zoom and 5 in a hybrid format at the Ford Foundation and via Zoom. You are most welcome to join whichever or as many as you feel like. There are links to register. You can find the links. Devin, thank you so much, has put it up in the chat. You can also find it on the website. We invite you to join as many as you think relevant to you. Next slide, please. We also had consultation day, which was yesterday. If you missed it, the recording is up. You can find it on our YouTube channel. We were joined by Ambassador Joini, who is the chair of the Bureau, as well as Seema Bahus, who is the UN, Executive Director of UN Women, also by Amandeep Gill, who's the tech envoy. So if you need more context and want to figure out what happened in their morning session, just check the recording. It's all there and publicly available. Next slide, please. Okay, so civil society briefings. This is an important one because it kind of gives you context of what's happening at the official sessions. You get a briefing from the UN agencies and member states to let you know the state of play of how the official sessions are going. I do believe that the official session, the civil society briefing is on the 10th of March, which is the Friday coming up. So if you can make it, please do. Next slide, please. Regional caucuses. So it's not enough that we do stuff only in New York, but it's also really important that we meet with and connect with all of the 5 UN regional groups to discuss the advocacy issues, how we feel things have been going in real time. And so therefore we've organized regional caucuses on week 1 as well as week 2. And I believe we have a schedule for it. There we go. Perfect. So we've tried to be as inclusive and be cognizant of time zones as well. And so you have in the first week, as you can see, Zoom versions, and the second week you've got a hybrid version. Again, you are welcome to join as many as possible, regions that call to you or regions that you want to know more information about. All the links to sign on and to register can be found in the chat box. They can also be found on our website. So you can get it anywhere. Next slide, please. Okay, we also have virtual exhibit booths. So many civil society organizations through the past and continue this year to share their work. And we wanted to do something where it's not just about those who are in person, and therefore our exhibit booths are virtual. So you are welcome to come either host one, or you can just browse through what's going on and see what has been showcased by different organizations. Next slide, please. Last but not the least, networking. We're here also in large part to network. So feel free to drop your name in the chat box, share LinkedIn profiles. If you are already on the platform which has our side event, our parallel events, you can connect with each other on that one as well. All of us are available on Twitter and Instagram. So lots of ways to connect through these weeks. Use it, please use it. And having said that, I think last but not the least is digital diplomacy. I have to give full credit to Safira for coining this phrase. We started it last year, but the purpose of digital diplomacy is advocacy across our socials. So let's talk about sharing factual information, impartial information, authentic information. And this is so that everyone can learn, be better informed, and be stronger advocates. So feel free to use it, feel free to share. If you have events, you're welcome to tag us so that we can repost your work as well. Next slide, please. And with that, I'm going to hand over to Devin for the portal.
Thanks, Jillian. So yeah, I'm just going to show a quick overview of our virtual portal. Sorry, I'm just going to share my screen. Oh, let me spotlight myself. Okay. Okay, so this is the homepage of the virtual portal. I have put in the chat several times the registration link to access this portal. And if you have already registered and just need the link to join directly to the portal, this is the link. And yeah, so here's the homepage. Hula is very user friendly, so it's pretty intuitive, pretty simple, but we also have a tutorial video that also shows how to navigate the okay, hold on, let me reshare my screen. Okay, can you see this? Okay. Yeah, so this is the homepage. And like I said, we also have a tutorial video that shows how to navigate all of this with step-by-step instructions. And if one of my colleagues could put that video in the chat, that would be great. So this is the homepage. To see the full schedule of events, you want to go to agenda. And all of the events that we have mentioned in this call are on this schedule. So to see all of the events, including virtual and in-person events, you're gonna want to register to access this portal so you can see the full schedule. So as you can see, all of the sessions are listed here. It's sorted by date. So you just scroll through the dates to see all of them. You can also filter with specific tracks. So we have tracks for in-person and virtual events, our own events, the conversation circles and regional caucuses we spoke about, our YLYP events, which I believe we'll be talking about later. Yeah, so this is the full schedule where you can see everything. If you want to add specific events to your agenda, which is essentially your own schedule, so you would just click add to my agenda, and then it adds it to your agenda, and then you can also add it to your own personal calendar. And then you can see all of the sessions in your agenda here. And again, it's sorted by date. You can see the full list of attendees. You can click to view their profiles and message them. You can also go to this recommended tab, which gives you some categories of people you might want to connect with. So people in your same location with your same interests. your same organization or the school that you went to. The community tab is essentially where a bunch of message boards are. So you can scroll through here and see the different topics. Messages, I won't show those because I do have some messages and I want to respect people's privacies. But messages is where you will see your direct messages that people send you, and you can send messages from there as well. Photos, you can upload photos or see the photos that other people have uploaded. And then this exhibitors and sponsors tab is where you'll see exhibit booths and handbook ad sponsors. So here are all of the the exhibit booths. So you can visit the booths and learn all about them. Some might have videos. Just waiting for this to load. There's also a chat feature in the exhibit booths. Okay. So if you wanted to ask the exhibitors questions or send anything here, you can do so. You can see all of their information here, any events that they are hosting, you can RSVP and it'll add it to your agenda. Any handouts, you can see the booth staff. Yeah, you can also leave your card to indicate that you would like to learn more about the organization. And then sponsors is a similar setup to the exhibit booths. You can see the different booths, all of their information, their handouts. You can scroll through this list here to see all of them. And additionally, handbook ads, depending on the tier that they have, will show up here at the bottom of the home page and here on this header on all of the pages, but on the website specifically. There also is an app, a mobile app for the portal as well. So if you go on your phone and just search for Whova, you can download the app, and then once you're in Whova, you can just search for NGO CSW67 Forum, and it should be there, and you can access all of the same information on your mobile app as well. So that'll be really helpful for those who are in person and on the go, and need a more portable way to look at the schedule. Lastly, I'll show some resources. So we have our handbook. Definitely check out our handbook. This has all of the information about the forum. I'll put the link in the chat. It is kind of a lengthy document, so it takes a little bit to load. So I won't waste our time waiting for that, but definitely check out the handbook. It's also on our website. We have FAQs, safety at the forum, our Twitter, our website, Whova guides if you would like some more help with navigating the virtual portal. These Whova guides are a good resource as well. But like I said, we also have several tutorial videos to assist as well. So I'll stop sharing my screen with that. And I think I will pass it to somebody.
To Pam and Rosa.
Okay, Pam and Rosa.
Okay. Let me unmute. Pamela, I think you go first. Is that right?
No, Rosa, you do what is advocacy?
Okay, all right. So thank you, Devin, for that incredible presentation. And I see you're putting links in the chat while you're doing this. That is amazing. So we're going to shift a little bit about doing advocacy at the UN and what is advocacy. In its basic form, advocacy is an activity by an individual or group that aims to influence decisions within political, economic, and social institutions. Advocacy includes activities and publications and meeting in person with delegates to influence positions in public policy. It's also to educate and inform government officials. And so in approaching UN advocacy, what is recommended is first developing an advocacy plan. You know, what are your priorities? Research the priorities. Research the priorities for yourself within the CSW priority theme and secondary theme. In this case, we know innovation and technological change and digital education for women's empowerment and girls' empowerment. And you want to also be deliberating on these priorities and develop recommendations to be able to present to government officials. This could conclude in writing of briefs, in writing of statements, in a sense, ensuring that your points can be communicated in a succinct way to delegates of member states. In a sense, you might want also to develop what's called cheat sheets, just very brief recommendations for delegates to be able to take this bite-sized language and they can lift it for themselves, understand it, digest it very quickly, and use it in negotiations at the UN. For the CSW, there will be a negotiation on a proposed outcome document, and those negotiations are going on now. You heard from Ambassador Chef about the different revisions that are happening. So you want to be able to tailor your information into this succinct bite-sized language that can be lifted by member states in the negotiations. For us at NGO CSW, we have an advocacy and research group, and you will hear much more information about this. And you know, if this is a lot of information, no worries, because we will have a full session on advocacy tomorrow morning. So our advocacy and research group has been stellar in doing this process with many partners, with many partners inputting from around the world. And they've distilled these recommendations into 5 very succinct recommendations. These were mentioned earlier. I will review them in a little bit after Pamela. And then if you're in agreement about endorsing these, we will put the link and you can take a closer look and sign on to your organization to endorse them. So this in a nutshell is advocacy. And we will have, like I said, a full session tomorrow morning, New York time. Back to you, Pamela.
Thank you, Rosa. And I'm really pleased to be able to share the information about the NGO CSW Advocacy Toolkit. It's aesthetically pleasing and it's easy to read. And it's a document that is sufficient to prepare you to build your capacity to advocate for your organization, your work in global gender equality at CSW. I believe that it is a fabulous resource, and I recommend that you download it onto your mobile device to have as a reference tool with you throughout CSW. And you'll find a link to the toolkit in the chat. Now we're going to take a look at the toolkit. Section 1 gives an overview of CSW and the NGO CSW Forum. The guide then moves on to discuss the basics of the United Nations in Section 2. And if you're new to the UN space, I encourage you to read this portion carefully. It provides the purpose of the UN, as well as an overview of the important organs of the United Nations. The guide then moves on to section 3, providing a more in-depth look at CSW67 and NGO CSW67, which were explained earlier in this session. It includes the themes, the differences between the NGO CSW Forum and UN CSW, and an overview of women's human rights at the UN, including the Beijing Platform for Action and the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination, excuse me, against women, which is referred to as CEDAW, the SDGs, and that's the Sustainable Development Goals, with an emphasis on SDG 5, achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. And it ends with a discussion on the outcome document process, the negotiations process, and how to advocate at CSW. Now we move into sections 4 and 5 that are actually the heart of the document. The process and recommendations of the Advocacy and Research Group are explained in section 4, providing a firm footing for any activist who is not clear on talking points for their advocacy. A template for an effective social media strategy is in section 5, which focuses on digital advocacy tips for advocating online. After acknowledgements, the appendix contains advocacy resources as well as a link to videos from the YLYP's Youth Preparation Series for NGO CSW67. The toolkit ends with an extremely valuable index of gender equality terms and UN language so that you can understand the acronyms that we call the alphabet soup that are so widely used at the UN.
Pamela, I think you're muted, or yes, it looks like you're muted.
I'm so sorry. I'm pleased to be able to share the information about the NGO CSW Advocacy Toolkit. It's aesthetically pleasing and it's easy to read, and it's sufficient to prepare you to build your capacity to advocate for your organization, your work, and your global gender equality at CSW. This is a fabulous resource, and I recommend that you download it onto your mobile device to have with you as a reference tool throughout CSW. And you'll find the link in the to the toolkit in the chat. Now let's take a brief look at the NGO CSW toolkit. Section 1 gives a general overview of CSW and
you were just muted for like 30 seconds towards the end of your, so we heard most.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay.
No worries, no worries.
Okay. So after acknowledgements, the appendix contains advocacy resources as well as a link to videos from the YLYP's Youth Preparation Series for NGO CSW. And the toolkit ends with an extremely valuable index of general equality terms and UN language that can help you understand the acronyms that are so widely used at the UN, and we call it the UN's alphabet soup. This is really the finest advocacy tool I've seen since I've been working at the UN about a decade ago. And I would like to thank the team of Devin, Ali, Carla, and Michaela for developing this tool. Okay, thank you, Devin. And back over to Rosa.
Thank you. We will be reviewing the Advocacy and Research Group recommendations. I believe this slide is an outline of what I presented just a moment ago. But okay, here we go. Thank you so much. So as I mentioned, the Advocacy and Research Group, they've been meeting since last summer, and it's a very intensive work. This theme for the CSW67, you know, there was a very large learning curve because most of us are not experts in everything, priority theme that comes up. So there was a lot of research on this, and to distill this into 5 recommendations took a lot of work. So kudos to the advocacy and research team, led by our vice chair, Ivy Cook, and also Ani, and many, our former chair, Susan, who have contributed to this. So very briefly, the 5 recommendations are: 1, to prioritize critical digital literacy and STEM education for girls and women in all their diversity. 2, address the risks to privacy, autonomy, dignity, and safety faced by women and girls in all their diversity on digital platforms. 3, ensure universal access to tech with a special focus on rural women and girls living with disabilities and older women. 4, leverage various financial routes, including public and development finance and private sector partnerships. And 5, digital empowerment for girls and young women in all their diversity. When it was mentioned, if you want to endorse these, if you go to that link, and I know my colleagues will put that, you can read in more detail what these recommendations are. This is really a very highlighted, succinct couple of lines for each one, but there is more detail in the sign-on form. And we do encourage you, we have over 700 organizations and individuals that have already endorsed this. And it really shows a lot of advocacy power, let's say, when we have all of those endorsements. So thank you very much to the team. And I also want to say kudos to Devin and the interns who put together the advocacy toolkit. I agree, it is a fabulous document. Get your hands on it, especially if you're new to this process. It will review everything there. It's truly, truly very comprehensive. Thank you so much. I think
Okay, and I'm just going to go over the advocacy training that's set for tomorrow. And it's going to provide you with information to help you to become an even stronger advocate.
Motion detected outside.
Covered topics will include: what kind of advocate will you be? Opportunities for engagement, CSW thematic issues related to the priority theme, the outcome document process, how to engage, language to be aware of, looking at terminology, including coded words and triggers, which most of you didn't even know existed, how to participate during CSW, with the session closing with UN Women's LOPA, where she will provide additional information. Please be sure to join us for this important advocacy training session tomorrow, Tuesday at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Safira and Devin will now provide information on the youth leaders and young professionals activities and membership. Thank you all.
Thank you, Pamela and Rosa. Yes, so we are wanting to give an overview of the youth leaders and young professionals. So this really is a subset of the NGO committee. It's a global community of young people, youth advocates who are really passionate about gender equality and looking to engage or learn about UN processes. So you can see these kind of 3 points here. We are always trying to educate our membership about the UN, being able to advocate for youth involvement at the UN, but also speak to the issues as they pertain to the particular needs of young people. We do a lot of preparation for the UN Commission on the Status of Women and the NGO CSW Forum. So we have just completed a preparation series where every week we have been coming together to really build community, which is the third piece of this, which is joining a community of other young activists and young professionals who are thinking about global processes. And so really to build a network of young people who are supporting one another in their engagement at the UN. So I'll hand to Devin now to say a little bit about the youth spaces at this particular CSW and the NGO Forum.
Thanks so much, Safira. So there are several youth spaces happening in the next 2 weeks. So this first bubble is the Youth Preparation Series, which actually ended last week, but all of the recordings are available on our YouTube channel. So we had 7 different events, all with different topics to help prepare youth for the CSW. So definitely check out those recordings on our YouTube channel. And one of my teammates will put the link to that in the chat. The CSW Youth Forum is happening this Saturday for most of the day. And that will be in person, but I believe there is Zoom participation available as well. We have a He for She Solutions Lab, which will focus on male allyship in the feminist and women's movement. We have the Youth Morning Briefing, which this slide needs to be updated, but the Youth Morning Briefing will be happening on Tuesday, the 14th at 8:30 a.m. This will be in person at the UN. However, we will have it live streamed on UN Web TV. And there is a registration available for those who do not have UN badges already. So y'all can still attend in person and get a special event pass for the briefing. There's a high-level intergenerational dialogue. This is a formal CSW session, so only those who are ECOSOC accredited and have their UN badge will be able to attend. There's a youth safe space happening throughout the first week of the CSW. There are lots of different sessions and events happening, and this is happening in person at the church center throughout this whole first week. And finally, networking spaces. We have a lot of different opportunities to network and meet people and connect with other youth and non-youth. And that will be available throughout the forum in many different ways and events and all of that. Yeah, so I'll pass it back to, well, actually, looks like we're going to our Q&A. So I'll put all of our speakers spotlighted. If you have a question, feel free to raise your hand, the little raise your hand reaction in Zoom, or you can also put your question in the chat and we'll be answering there as well.
Thank you so much, Devin. So yes, this is really the time to answer any questions that you have about engaging either at the CSW or at the Civil Society Forum. So I see Jyothi has a hand raised. Over to you.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm really excited for this event. I'm first time in this platform. So I was a bit curious about the YLYP program, and I want to know if there is any age limit for that.
So we don't have a strict age limit for the youth leaders and young professionals. If you feel like you're a youth and you identify as a young person, you're very welcome to join us. We do kind of open certain spaces for intergenerational kind of conversations, but we do ask that we prioritize young voices. So
Alright.
generally we have between the ages of 18 to late 30s is
Alright.
really the range that we're aiming for.
All right, thank you. That clears my doubt. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Other questions that you would like to ask by voice? Barbara, please go ahead.
Hi, good morning. Nice to meet everyone. This is my first time. I guess my question is, are we able to access slides for events that we really want to attend but cannot because of time or maybe attending something else?
So I can answer this one. So all of our events that are hosted by NGO CSW New York will be recorded and the recordings will be shared. However, for the parallel events, it is up to each organizer to record their session. Of course, if it's in person and they don't have any virtual aspect, there most likely won't be a recording. But it is up to each organizer, and I'm sure they will mention if they're recording it or not, and how they will share the recording. There is an option for organizers to upload their recording onto their event pages on the virtual portal. So also you might want to just check the portal to see if there's any recordings there as well.
Thank you. I did have a follow-up. The orientation, you had a whole bunch of information that I really find interesting, but couldn't quite catch because it was moving so fast. So I can access the orientation on your YouTube channel as well?
I believe so. Yes, I
Thank you.
believe the recording will be made available. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barbara. Over to you.
And also all of, oh, sorry, Sphira.
Go ahead, Deborah, go ahead.
Also, all of the links that we've shared are available on our website too. Yeah.
Perfect. So maybe we can take a few questions. I see Netanel, Carolyn, and Anir. And then Jillian, if there's any questions in the chat, if you're able to summarize, we'll turn to you. So Netanel, the floor is yours.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you for this chapter. It was really interesting, and it is my first time too. So I learned a lot. So my question is like that. What is the best way for us to do networking between the people that coming to those Zooms? Because in the chat, it's okay, but it's not enough. So I was registered to that event in the at the 8th. March 8th. It's called, I think, Gathering of International, it's for the Women XN, and I'm not sure that I will be able to be there. And so what is the best way for me to get to know a lot of people globally? Our organization is working globally. What is the best way?
Perfect. We'll take that question. And I'm assuming that's networking, virtual networking opportunities that you're looking for.
So my question is like that. I really want to come in person to New York, and I'm not sure if it will be at the 8th or the 9th or the 14th. One of those days or a part of the days, I'm willing to come to New York, but I'm not sure. So if you can talk about like virtually and in person, I will really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Huri, did you want to respond immediately to this?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Please jump in.
Because I feel that, and I remember having those thoughts years ago when I first came. Honestly, my favorite place that you will meet people and engage is the church center. There's 5 rooms that are back-to-back parallel events starting at 8:30 and it ends at 8. The 2nd floor, the 8th floor, the 10th floor, the 11th floor. Did I say 5? It's 4 rooms. Okay. And you can, of course, look at the schedule online. We have every single parallel event listed. But my favorite thing to do was just to walk in and out of rooms, sit and listen, talk to the organizers, talk to the audience. Each one of those events is an incredible opportunity to network. And of course, the reason I say look at the schedule is because then you can get to pick the topic that's interesting to you. For example, today I really wanted to go to an event. I believe it was the 11th floor at 12:30. And then I realized I have another event to go to. I'm not going to go there because the topic was interesting to me. And there's so many different ones. So please go to the church center and attend the parallel events and network there.
Thank you so much. And about the dates, it is
Oh.
starting from now, or there are
Yes,
dates
it's
that
today
for
until
example,
next,
week?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
today until next Friday, every single day from
Mhm.
8:30 a.m. I know it's crazy to think that there's 350 events.
Wow. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, pick the day that is convenient for you. But like I said, if there are topics that's interesting to you, look up on the schedule. And you can, I think Devin already talked about how you can search for topics on our platform and then look at all the events in person, you know. I don't know what you call that, but okay.
Thank you very much, Gori. Over to you, Carolyn.
Oh, thank you so much. It's an honor to be here with such brilliant women. My question is about similar to what was just shared. However, I see that there are in person for when you are. This is my first time CSW pass for grounds, and on Wednesday this upcoming week, it looks like those are the main ones are all in person right on Wednesday on UN grounds, and those are specific to NGO CSW. And then the church is open to the public, I believe. Is that right? And so my question is it best, I wonder, I love what you just shared about the church, but is it also best to be there on Wednesday all day because I can be on grounds? And then the other question is there's one presentation on Monday night that I would like to see, but it says that it's virtual. So I don't know, can we be in the room or do we have to find some place to be virtually?
Who would like to take this question?
If it says virtual, it will be virtual. That means they really are not organizing. And there are a lot of organizations who are in New York City and are choosing to have virtual events. So I would definitely, I mean, if you have a friend's place or somewhere, you can even find coffee shops. There's Mona's on 44th Street that you can sit with a cup of coffee and put your headphones on and attend virtually. And I want to go back to what you said. First of all, I love that we say the church. It's actually not a church. It's 777 UN Plaza. That's the address. I don't know. Obviously, there's a chapel, a non-denomination chapel on the bottom of the building. So for years, it has had this nickname of the church center. But it is an office building for global NGOs. And that's where we use to host these events. Just wanted to clarify that. Not that there's anything wrong with churches. Okay. So if it says virtual, it's virtual. And I'm not sure what you meant about Wednesday is the UN events. We shared the link from the UN Women website that has all the side events listed. Not all of them are available for you to sign on to attend. So you have to read each event and see if they're giving you an email to sign up to attend, or, you know, because you really need to sign up to get a ticket to get into the UN unless you have a badge to get in, a grounds pass. Does that make it clearer?
Yes, thank you. So yes, I have a grounds pass. I will have a grounds pass when I get there. And so that's why I was saying Wednesday, it looks like most of the events are for grounds pass. So that was my question. And then
There's going to be events at the UN every day as well.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Amir, can we hand to you? Go ahead. I think you're still on mute.
Okay, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Okay, my question is on the YLYP program. You just said it's going to be in person. I want to find out if there's an opportunity for virtual participation.
That's a great question. So there will be a conversation circle on youth movements and youth leadership. So that one will be hybrid. So that will be an opportunity to kind of connect in, a great space to meet people and network as well. Devin, in terms of other virtual spaces for YLYPs throughout these 2 weeks, I know we are trying to get together in person. There are some watch parties that our Youth Global Champions are organizing. Anything further, Devin, that you might jump in on?
The youth morning briefing will be live streamed, so you'll be able to watch that virtually. Yeah, we also have a track on the virtual forum, the virtual portal that for YLYP events, so you can also filter with that track to see the full list of events and what will be virtual and what will be in person.
Okay, so would there be a link to register before Saturday?
So for the CSW Youth Forum on Saturday, the registration is unfortunately closed at this point.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Zeeb, over to you.
Hi, thank you for the session today. It was really interesting to hear all about the portal and the priority for this year. I wanted to know, for the people who are based out of UK, are there any in-person events that are being organized where we could meet each other, meet the other delegates?
Sorry, you're saying based in the UK?
In the UK, yes.
Huri, go ahead.
I'm gonna jump right in. Please organize one yourself.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks.
I think it would be so cool, and then tag us and do whatever it is that you have to do, because now you're our champion in the UK. You learned everything there is to know. Share this information with your networks, and then organize a watch party or whatever it is that you organize. This is how movements grow and build, right?
Great suggestion.
So we're gonna remember your names, Abe. You're gonna start.
Yeah, of course. I did put it up in the chat as well, so yes.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to hand to Jillian to see if there's any questions in the chat.
Thanks, Safira. I think there are 1 or 2 questions in the chat that are good to address as a group. Rebecca has a question. What do we need to get into in-person events at the UN? And Kay has a question, can we attend the side events on site? So I think if someone can take that, the question of parallel and side events and just run that through one more time.
Rosa's frozen, but she'll be back. She'll do it. I believe in her.
I don't know if you can hear me, but that was really funny.
We can hear you, Rosa.
Okay, so the question is regarding parallel events and side events?
Yes, in-person access.
In-person access. Parallel events, as we've been saying, are the ones that are being organized by the NGO CSW Forum. Those are free. They are open. You can walk into the church center at the UN on 44th and 1st Avenue and attend any event. There will be also events at the Salvation Army. The official events called side events at the UN, you will need a UN grounds pass. You would have either registered ahead of time for the CSW and gotten your pass, or you're with an NGO accredited organization where you would have gotten your grounds pass. If you have a grounds pass from an accredited organization, you do not need to go to that long line and get your CSW registration. They will not give you another pass. The UN will be very strict about that. The doors are open if you have that UN badge, and you can go check the schedule of events and just go to them. Some of them are by sign up only because there's limited space, but most of them are open and you can just go and walk in. I hope you heard me okay, because I still see my screen spinning.
Yes, no, we could definitely hear you. Thank you. Any other questions at this point about the NGO forum, about engaging at the CSW? Cecilia, go ahead.
Hi, thank you, and thank you so much for all the information. It's really useful for first timers. I just had a quick question about the event, the youth event, the high level event next Monday. Is the registration still going? Is it closed? Can you give us more information about how to register?
Devin, do you know what's happening with that one?
Sorry, registration for what?
The high level youth event on Monday?
I don't really.
If I can step in.
Jump in, Rosa.
You can still hear me. That is organized by the UN Women. I believe that registration has passed. The space filled up really quickly. So unfortunately, that registration is closed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rosa. It does seem like a lot of these events do take a little bit of pre-planning and pre-registration before the CSW starts. Okay. Anything else coming in through the chat, Jillian, in terms of questions?
I think our team has been responding to chat, all the chat questions in real time. So there were a lot of questions about the app, the website using WOBA, but they've all been answered. Links also have been put in over again. So I think we're good with chat questions. Thanks to Devin and team for responding.
Excellent. So I guess we can take this one last question from Allison, and then we want to do a bit of a closing poll to wrap up. So over to you, Allison.
The office where people are picking up their CSW badges, is that the same one where I pick up my permanent badge as head of delegation? Good, thank you.
Exactly. Yes. The lines can be a little bit long, so budget a little bit of time to go and do that.
Yeah, I also put the link with the hours of, it looks like it's open every day from whatever, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So.
Well, we're going to go immediately after this session is over, so.
Great idea. Great idea. All right. Thank you all so much for your questions. Please feel welcome to continue posting questions in the chat if there is anything more that comes to mind. But I will hand to Devin to take us through a closing poll.
Thanks, Safira. I'm just gonna remove the spotlights here. Jesus. Okay, so we have 2 closing polls. And actually, sorry, I'll just answer because I see there's a couple questions about how you can get the UN badge. So unfortunately, if you haven't already registered for the CSW through your ECOSOC accredited organization, if you have, you should have received an email, probably multiple emails from UN Women about getting a badge and where to pick it up and all of that. If you are not part of an ECOSOC accredited organization that has already registered for the CSW, then unfortunately you're not able to get a UN grounds pass. I also see a question about the link to the YouTube channel. So if Ali could maybe just put that in the chat for me. And without further ado, I'll open our closing poll. Can everyone see it?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, cool. Cool. So we have 2 questions. The first is, what are your goals for the CSW67? And you can select all that apply. So are you attending the forum events, advocating for specific gender issues, networking with other organizations or participants, participating in the educational experience, representing your work at the international level, hosting an event, and or other? And then the second question, so you'll have to scroll down to the bottom to see the second question, is are you planning on attending the advocacy training session tomorrow? And I will put the link to that registration in the chat again. It's happening tomorrow on Zoom, same time as today at 8 a.m. Eastern. And that session, we will go over how to advocate at the UN and at the CSW. And we'll go more in depth in the some of the advocacy points that we talked about today. So I will put that link in the chat. Okay, so the link to register for the advocacy training is in the chat. So make sure you register for that if you want to learn more about advocacy. And it looks like most people have submitted their poll. Can everyone see the results? Great. So let's see. 74% said that they're attending the forum events. 55 say they're advocating for specific gender issues. 73% are going to be networking with other organizations and participants. 68% are participating in the educational experience. 39% are representing their work at the international level. And 17% are hosting an event. And then 81% of us are planning on attending the advocacy training tomorrow. That's great. And if you can't make it, we will be, of course, sharing the recording. So don't worry if you're not able to make the actual session, the recording will be available. So we will see 81% of you tomorrow. And I'll pass it to Safira and Jillian to close us out. Yeah, have a great CSW, everybody, and I'm sure that I will see you all either virtually or in person throughout the 2 weeks.
Thanks, Devin. Thank you so much. And I just wanted to say to everyone who's joined the call, thank you so much for your time this morning. Thank you for making the effort to join us virtually. This program has been put together by Huri, Ivy, Rosa, Pam, if y'all can join me up on screen, Devin, Ali, Michaela. None of this would have been possible without them. We've spent months putting this together to try and be as comprehensive as possible. So, but it's only possible, or it's only happening because you're here and you have all these questions. We do hope we've answered most of them. I'd like to give you all the opportunity to turn on your videos for a moment in true fashion of NGO CSW, so that we have a moment to see each other and wave goodbye, and see you tomorrow morning, bright and early, 8 a.m. Eastern. Bye for now, everyone.
Thank
Ali,
you
if you'd
so
like
much,
to join us
everyone.
on screen, Ali and Michaela, go ahead.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Adios.